Hi, my name is Roger Shanks. I'm the facility director here at Lakeview Wesleyan Church. Today we're going to show you, or try to show you, how to pre-inspect, post-inspect the vehicles in preparation for bringing children and other people to and from the Lakeview Wesleyan Church complex. Along with that, we hope to give you a strong familiarity with the vehicle and some of its safety items that you need to be informed of. Thank you for viewing this video. Let's get started. Okay, as an outside inspection, one of the first things you want to do is just to make sure you have tires. Well, also, in the case of the larger buses like the one I'm standing beside, you want to make sure you do what I call a thump test. In other words, you want to test the tire. And that's all done by bouncing this rod off the tire and repeating the same process with the two rear tires so that you have an idea as to whether or not they have air or not. And while that may sound kind of silly, if the tire doesn't thump the same, something's wrong. Okay, after you've done the tire test, you've checked everything, the next thing you need to do is make sure all your lights work. With the aid of your helper, the person who's going to help you with your passengers and so forth, you need to do a light test. That's nothing more than turning the lights on, turn signals, and making sure all of them work. Real easy. With the aid of a helper, you can test the brake lights, turn signals, and the headlights. Okay, the last part of your inspection, and probably the most difficult for some people, is to do that simple inspection of just looking for leaks. You're looking for oil, water, anything that's unusual underneath the vehicle. And simply put, you just have to get down. You don't necessarily have to get on the ground, but you need to get down and look to see if you have any unusual drippings underneath the vehicle. And this would pretty much complete your walk around, and that's exactly what it amounts to. You'll be walking around the vehicle during this process, and in that same moment as you're walking around checking your lights and your tires, and if you have leaks underneath the vehicle, you need to take note of the vehicle condition. In other words, do I have dents, dings, scrapes, something broken? Just simple visual inspection to make sure the vehicle is there and safe to run. Okay, after you have completed your outside inspection, you need to continue with the interior. Obviously, if the outside is good, then the interior is the next item that we need to make sure is good for everybody in the process. First things first, your keys. On them should be your information in case of, obviously, if you have injuries, the first number you should call is 911. But for any vehicle emergencies and so forth, the number on this tag is the next number you should contact. And then from there, myself or whoever happens to have this phone will guide you into the next part of the process. Interior inspection is really quite simple. One, know where everything is. Your emergency triangles, in case you do have an emergency where you're stopped along the highway. For this particular vehicle, they're located behind the driver's seat, along with the fire extinguisher. First aid kit happens to be up front with the cleaning supplies, the wipes. You notice also the other cleaning supplies, the broom and dustpan, and also for those inclement times, the scraper. Also, in this process of checking this vehicle out, you should check the seat belts. One, are they all out where somebody can use them? Not all of our vehicles have seat belts, but those that do, everybody must wear the belt. No questions asked. You are the captain of this ship. You make the decision. They don't sit. They don't put the seat belt on. They don't ride. Okay. As an operator, you need to know how to make the vehicle go down the road, which is really quite simple. All of our vehicles are automatic. You put it in drive or reverse, depending on what you want to do. But one thing a lot of people get confused on, in particular, is the fan switches. On both of the people movers, the buses, you have to have not only this fan running and this switch on AC or heat, but for the AC to work, you also have to have this switch on. It has to be on and cool. That way the unit works. For heat operations, when you put it over here to heat, and you have this in the heat mode, this switch here is for only, and I repeat, only the rear heat system. It even says rear fan, but it doesn't say heat, but this is for heat only. This is AC and heat. This is heat only. Back of the bus, front of the bus. Back fan for the AC is this piece right here. Okay, as you have already inspected the outside of the vehicle, you've done your thorough inspection of the interior, it's now ready to get ready for the vehicle, get you ready for the vehicle to go, or get you and the vehicle ready to go. Part of that is you have to be comfortable when you're driving. Obviously, you want to adjust the seat. That would include forward or back to get the right length for you between you and the pedals, adjusting the back of the seat so that it's the right angle for you to drive, either forward or back, and then if it has the ability to adjust the steering wheel up or down to make it comfortable for you to drive. Now, along with that, you need to remember that even though you may be comfortable in this seat with the seat belt on and everything, you still have to be able to see. So that means you adjust the mirrors. The outside mirror over there, that's a long ways away. How do you adjust it? Well, that's where your helper comes in handy. The helper can help you by adjusting the mirror so that you can see down the vehicle. Same way with this one over here. Adjust the mirror so you can see down the vehicle. That means behind you, you don't have to see the bus, but you should be able to lean to the left or lean to the right to see your vehicle in your mirrors. Other than that, all you should be able to see is who's behind you. Now, along with all these adjustments, once you're set, then I hope you, in your process, that you've also looked at your emergency doors and to make sure that they're secured and that they do indeed work. One last thing. You're in the white bus. There are some differences between this white bus and the black bus. One, this bus has an electric door. This button here with the door on it opens and closes the door that lets people in and out. And then there are two other switches. One is a reading light for the passengers. The other is a light that just lights up the cabin, so that when you're unloading or loading people, you can press that switch and the cabin lights up. This one here is just a little lights over the seats for people to read. Well, this is the black bus. It is a manual bus. It is the same but different. The door for the people entry is a manual unit right here. The AC operates exactly the same. You have to turn on both units. That means simply you turn on the dash unit here to AC, and then you also have to turn on this one. And here's the fan for it. This is the rear fan, this is the front fan. Notice here, rear heat only, that's the heat. You turn that one on in the summertime and you roast. The operation of this vehicle is basically the same as the other bus, except for a few anomalies. The door and where the switches are for the AC. Okay, in the process that you've gone through here, you've done your outside inspection, you've done your interior inspection, you've checked your supplies, you know everything about the vehicle. The only thing you don't know, will it run? Well, we do that by obviously starting it up. And once we start it, we want to listen to the engine to see if it is making any strange noises. And I think most people understand what I mean by strange noise. Knocking, tapping, something that just doesn't sound right. Second thing you do the moment you start it up is you start checking your gauges. Your oil gauge, your charging gauge, your fuel, and your temperature. Now, if the vehicle's cold, obviously the temperature is going to be down there at the C. But it should never range much more than about midway on that gauge. So in other words, when it comes up, It shouldn't be, but more right there about the center is where it should be located. And that means simply that the engine's operating in the range. And that's what we're looking for. You see something that's abnormal, in other words, a low oil pressure or low battery gauge, that's a reason to be calling someone. And yes, I do expect you to call me. Okay, we've looked at everything. We've looked at the outside. We've looked at the interior of the vehicle. You've located where your safety gear is. You've located your cleaning equipment. You've done everything now possible. Here's the thing that you must remember. These vehicles, whether we're driving the bus or the van, these vehicles hold a maximum of 14 passengers and one driver for a total of 15. Anything more than that, and you're in violation. We don't want that kind of process. So please remember, 14 passengers, everybody in the seat belt, keep everybody safe. One last thing, you're carrying somebody's precious cargo. That means simply you have to watch out for them no matter where you are, especially in a parking lot. If at all possible, when you bring your load in, back the vehicle into a parking spot so that when you have your people walk out to the vehicle and get in, you don't have to worry about backing over someone because you're going to drive away. You're not going to back up. The key point there is this: back into your driving or your parking slot. That way the vehicle is always a driver and never a big blind spot behind you. Okay, as you got your keys, you also got this clipboard. And on this clipboard is a sheet. That sheet is a feedback information, meaning simply this way we will know A, who had the vehicle, and B, what went on when you were in the vehicle. So things are quite simple. Vehicle description. We have numbers in the left corner bottom of the windshield. LV1, LV3, LV4. If you have to know your make, tell us it's a Ford bus. Date and time out. Date and time in. Odometer reading. Beginning and end. And what department you're driving for. And then obviously things that could possibly happen on the bus or the van. There you are. If for some reason you feel as if the vehicle is not drivable, make note of it down here as being unacceptable to drive again. If you don't know, don't mark that. But make comments. Tell me what's going on. This is the only way that I, the person who has to service these vehicles, knows what's going on. And the time to find out about something that's a problem is not the day that the vehicle goes out. Thank you. If you're driving, you're going to have an occasion to go underneath overhangs, such as here in front of the church here at Lakeview. We do have an overhang to help protect people from the weather. What you need to be mindful of is the fact that these vehicles are different heights. The bus, the one here on my left, is actually 10 foot 3 inches. The van is 7 feet here on my right. And that would make a difference if you happen to go into a low overhang. Some vehicles, if you remember the parking lots downtown Indianapolis, most of those are 7 feet. So this vehicle here might go into a parking garage, whereas our bus would not. So that means simply please pay attention to the overhangs. Please pay attention to the posted heights of different items so that you don't crash into one. And have a safe trip.